Hello everyone, Tina here. I'm back again with another card project to share with you, and today we are creating with some Spellbinders Club kits. We're going to create a cute little acorn house. This is the Spellbinders Large Die of the Month Club Kit for September 2025. So we'll be using this to make our card. And then for my background or my home panel, we're going to also emboss with the Spellbinders Embossing Folder of the Month Club Kit. My camera's not focusing here. This one here is called Autumn Breeze. It's a really pretty embossing folder. I'm also bringing in another die set because I always think fall and burlap go good together. If I could find a thin enough burlap to put on my cards, I would do it. But a nice replacement is this die here. This is called the Woven Lattice Texture Die. It's from Spellbinders. I just love it for my fall cards. Kind of reminds me of maybe scarecrows or just autumn. So we'll be using that on our card. Let's jump in, and actually today we're going to make a bonus card too. So I have, there's a lot of florals in here, so I thought we'd make a floral card with this also. So starting off with step number 1, we're going to create our focal point, and we're going to create our little acorn house. I'm going to do my die cutting and I'll be right back. Okay, I have everything die cut out. Now the squirrel kind of threw me off a little bit as I was looking at kind of the guide on the back here on how to create it. I was a little bit confused. So I did one off camera so I could share with you how I put it together. Okay, and he is really cute. Okay, first off, so let's create him. I am going to do a little bit of ink blending with some brown ink, and then I also have a finger dauber somewhere. Okay, so I have my finger dauber, and what we're going to do is just do a little bit of ink blending. I liked, since there is a layering piece to go over the belly of our squirrel, what I like to do is ink blend on that section. So we're just going to ink blend right over the tummy area. The ink that I'm using is my cocoa ink from Simon Says Stamp. It's positively saturated ink. And so we'll just add a little color right on this side here. And then also on the end of the tail here. So we have a little extra color to our squirrel. I'm actually going to take my ink too and go over the edge of my leaves just really lightly. A little bit on the trunk, and then we'll do a little bit on the bottom here. Kind of do a little highlighting with it. Wonderful. Put my ink away, and I'm going to clean off my work surface so it's not distracting, and then we're going to build this cute little squirrel. When I cut out these two pieces here, I did once where this is one die that you would cut out, so it'll cut out two pieces, and I cut it out with the same color of cardstock as my squirrel here, and then with white. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add, this is the belly of my squirrel, so I'm going to bring in my glue, just add a few dots here, and you just basically line this along the curve of the face. And then there is debossed area, so you know where to put this piece. Okay, you just tack that down. Now the neat thing about the squirrel is his eye has a little white highlight. And I think that's really important to make this little guy just shine. So you don't want to skip out on that little white piece. Okay, and what that is this piece here. Okay, so I'm not going to use these two pieces, and then I'm also going to use this little black piece here. I'm going to flip over my little squirrel, and we're going to add some glue behind here. Okay, this black piece, we're going to add this, we're going to flip it around, and this black piece lines up here with this little squirrel, and it covers his eye, and it covers his ear. But it covers his eye not all the way. Okay, I put the glue in the wrong spot. It'd help if so I'm just going to wipe that off. Okay, now let me show you on some cardstock. Well, it's kind of hard to see on that one, but so you could actually, so now you can actually see through so it covers the ear, and then you have a little piece showing on the eye. Okay, it's easier to see this way. So when you flip it around, there's a hole in there still. That's where this piece comes in. I'm going to add some more little glue. Hopefully I'll get it in the right spot. And then we're going to flip this over and we're going to add this. Okay, I did put it on backwards. Ideally you want to flip it upside down, but this is going to work out just fine, because when you flip this over, you see how that white is now, you can see now his eye has that white little highlight. So cute. So that is our cute little squirrel. I think the one I just made turned out a little bit cuter than the one that I did originally. So wonderful. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take this piece of my acorn and we're going to layer this. So we're just going to cover this here. That's the prettiest acorn top I ever seen. Okay, I'm going to add some glue here, but today we're just layering it right on top. Okay, now we have the little house elements. There are more pieces to the house, but I just went simple. I'm not going to add the band that goes along the bottom steps here. I'm just going to add the doorway. And I used the same color of cardstock as I did one of my leaves. This leaf here. And then we're going to add the background to the door. And then I'm also going to add the background to the window here. And again, there's debossed area, so you kind of know where to put it. We're going to layer the window pane right over the top of the window. And then with our little window on our door, we'll do the same thing. A couple dots of glue. We're raining today, and it cooled us down, which is really nice. Love that. I was always one of those people who liked the rain. I like the sound of it when it hits the roof. But there's my door, and I think we're going to pop up our door here with a small foam square. The bottom of this overlaps the door, so we just follow along with the debossed area. And again, there's another little piece to the step, but I'm not going to add to it. Okay, we have our squirrel. Since we have our foam tape out, we're going to pop this guy up too. And I'm going to go ahead and add him right next to the door, almost like he's opening it. Now for my leaves, we're going to create our focal point and stick it all together. So I'm going to add some of my leaves here, and I'm going to add them underneath my acorn on this side. Okay, it's kind of long, but that's because we're going to do a landscape card for our first card, okay? So that's my focal point. Now we're going to move along to step number 2 and create our background. For my background, we're going to bring in our embossing folder, and I'm going to emboss some off-white cardstock. I'm going to end up trimming this down. So I embossed this. Isn't that so pretty? I did trim it down to 2.5 inches. It's going to be tall by 3.5. I want to say 3.5, 3 3/4 inches wide. Okay, what we're going to do is mat this on some brown cardstock that's slightly larger. Now I'm going to use my card base as a guide, and I'm going to layer this. I think this is a good spot here, so I'm going to tack it down on my home panel. This way I know all of my leaves are on the inside of my card. Now we're going to move along to step number 3 and create our sentiment in our die set. And this is, if you guys are new, Spellbinders Large Die of the Month Club Kits or a monthly club kit subscription. If Spellbinders has any left over before the next club subscription runs, then they'll sell these in the shop. But it's a fabulous value, and I'll leave a link down below to the clubs if you want to check it out. Okay, we're going to make a card that has a white greeting. So against the off-white cardstock, I think a white greeting is going to go great. So I'm going to put Happy Thanksgiving And I'm going to die cut out my happy inside the banner. Whoops. My Thanksgiving inside the banner. And on white cardstock. And then I'm also going to die cut out my happy. But I'm going to die cut out my happy a few times. And I'm going to use, well, let me trim this down here. I'm going to trim this down. Okay, I'll cut this out, and then with this piece I'm going to use my white liner sheet. Again, my Spellbinders has great white liner sheets. They die cut beautifully. I just add them to my cardstock. You want to make sure that you cut off any overhanging because it will stick to your die cutting plates. Okay, and then I'm going to cut out my happy several times. I like to do it in sections because my plates are not the cleanest, so this will get dirty. So I'll do 3 of these with the white liner sheet to create stickers with them. It's going to make it easier for stacking. I'll do that and I'll be right back. I ended up die cutting out 4 of them, and what we do is just, now they're like basically a really delicate sticker, so I just remove it from the release paper, punch out those small pieces, and then I can stack them, and I don't have to fuss with glue getting all over the place. So this just makes it easier. So now our happy has a little dimension to it, and I'm going to add it here. Since we have a little bit overhanging on this side of my frame, I'm going to do the same thing to this side of my frame. I'm calling it a frame, but it's my home panel. Since you can kind of see through it, I decided to die cut out a red banner to go behind it. Okay, I'm just going to add a little bead of glue at the very top and bottom. And then we're going to just layer our Thanksgiving together. There we go, just so it's a little bit more bolder. And then I will flip this around, and we're going to add a foam strip behind here. And that will be our greeting. Okay, now we're going to move along to step number 4, and we're going to create our background. For my background, we're going to bring in that burlap die. And I'm going to die cut out a piece of white cardstock with this, and I will be right back. I'm just going to trim this down maybe into 3 pieces, 3 wonky pieces, and then I'm going to add it to the corners and maybe a little along the top here. Okay, I'm going to trim away all the excess that's overhanging. Make sure it opens the right way. We have a little bit of burlap on here, which I think is nice and fallish. And then I'm going to take my panel here and I'm going to flip it over. I'll put foam tape behind here and we're going to layer it right over the top. Now for step number 5, which means it's time to embellish, I'm using my Glaze and glue. We're going to go over our window and our door and also our little squirrel's eye. Lovely. And then I'm also going to bring in some Fashion Rouge pearls. I think these will go great with my card project today. We're going to add some pearls to our background. Wonderful. And then I'm also going to bring in my Wink of Stella glitter pen, shimmer pen. And I want to go over my darker leaves to add a little sparkle to these. And that will finish off my first card. Okay, we're going to jump into our next card. We're going to do the next card in 5 easy steps, but 5 fast and easy steps. First off, I took some off-white cardstock and I kind of built some leaves around here, and I have some more leaves that we're going to add, just using a little bit of glue. We're going to hit these here. And then I die cut out some white leaves. These ones have long stems to go with the long stem that you can add to the flower. But I'm just going to trim the long part of the stem off. There we go. And that will be my focal point. Okay, I am going to flip this over and put some foam tape behind here. Just one will do. And then for step number 2, which is our home panel, I went ahead and die cut out another one of those burlap pieces. Okay, we're going to go ahead and layer our floral arrangement. For step 3, which is my sentiment, I die cut out my happy and I stacked it with my I did the same thing as I did with our happy, but this time the last layer, the top layer, I die cut out with red. So now I have a red happy. And so I have a little dimension to this, and I'm going to add this. So there's my greeting. For step number 4, I created my background by doing a little embossing with the same alabaster cardstock. This is a panel that measures 4 inches by 5 1/4, and I just went ahead and placed it directly on my card base. So that will be my background. Now we can take our home panel. It is see-through, of course you can see there, but I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to add some dimension to this by popping it up. And I'm going to add some foam tape behind the sections that I know that you can't see. So that's our background. Now I'm going to bring in some of those same Rouge Fashion Rouge pearls. And we're just going to add a couple to the flower centers and maybe some smaller ones around here. Then I'm going to also add a little bit of sparkle to the edges of these leaves too, just the darker ones. I didn't ink blend these, but I think it would look pretty if I would have added a little brown to these. Add a little shine here. And I'm going to adjust this flower. I adjusted this flower just a little bit so they're not side by side, so they're kind of at an angle. But that will finish that card. So here's a look at both cards that we made today using a couple of Spellbinders Club kits. So much fun. You can create elegant or you can create playfulness and fun, and so lots of versatility with this. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll be back soon with another card project using the Spellbinder Stencil of the Month Club kit and the stamp set. So keep a lookout for that video. Have a great day. Thanks so much for joining me, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for sticking with me to the end. I have 2 more videos that you guys might be interested here. If you guys are new and like the content that you see, click that subscribe button and also the notification bell. That way for future videos, be notified. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It sure does help the channel. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.